Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm going to be profiling for you a deck that is loved by many and hated by many. And that deck is Exodia, guys. Now, I have been wanting to build an Exodia deck ever since I was a kid, and even back in 2003, 2004 I wanted to pick up the cards. However, it was a very iconic card from the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! And they were very expensive to come by. Most Exodia sets that you got from Legend of Blue Eyes, which was the only reprint up until I believe it was the first Legend of Darkness, was they were costing between $200 and $250 for a playset of Exodia. However, it doesn't cost that much nowadays because they're pretty cheap and they look very nice. These I got out of a Legendary collection a couple years ago. So when I got to sitting down to build this deck, I was trying to build first turn Exodia, a draw engine of the deck. There's two ways you can run it. Either stall, draw to get the 5 pieces, or you can run some other variations of all the different types of Exodias that there are out there. But I wanted to go for the old win condition of the deck. So that's what I did. And for the most part, it turned out pretty good. You usually can get to all 5 pieces of Exodia between turn 2 and turn 3. And usually you need to get to Exodia by turn 2 or turn 3, and the deck can last 3 to 4 turns usually to get Exodia. If you don't, it's too bad, too sad. This deck usually has about, from testing it online and a little bit in real life against my brother and just friends, the deck has about a 75 to 70% win ratio. It's pretty dang good. But you have to know what you're doing. And it may go contradictory to a lot of different things that you would think about Exodia, but we'll get into that as we get into the deck. First, we run our 3 magical library. It's your draw engine of the deck. When you have every time you activate a spell, or your opponent activates a spell, but usually you're the one activating spells in this deck, you add a counter. And then when you have 3 counters on the card, you can pop the counters to draw 1 card. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to have times where you just be like, oh, activate spell, activate spell, activate spell, and you may forget when you first start playing this deck, and that can cause you to lose. I cannot tell you, one card can be the difference between winning and losing in this deck, depending upon the card you draw. So you always want to have a dice handy, a little dice, so you can be like, okay, 1 counter, 2 counter, 3 counter. Every time you activate a spell card, pop, draw. Okay, I got no counters. 1 counter again. 2 counter, 3 counter, pop, draw. You're going to need to do that. So 3 of that card. People feel it's a very degenerate card. Yes, I know, but it's Exodia. Next, I run 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon and 1 Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. A lot of players that have played Exodia, if you've played Exodia in the past, usually run 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon and 1 baby Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. Some people run 2 Blue Eyes. Different ratios of the different Blue Eyes is here. Me, from play testing and trying the deck out, I found that 1 Blue Eyes Toon Dragon was all I needed, and 2 Blue Eyes Vanilla was all I needed, really, at the end of the day. It worked perfectly well. The fact that there's a new card in town called the White Stone of the Ancients that came out of Shiny Victories means you can literally add the Blue Eyes back to your hand if you have another trade-in, or you send all your Blue Eyes to the graveyard. You can be like, oh, I have this in grave already. I'll banish this, add a Blue Eyes to my hand, activate trade-in again, go off, yeah, la-di-da-di-da. But we'll talk about that card in a bit. So this is the ratio I like running. I love this secret that I've had forever of Blue Eyes Baby Toon Dragon. It looks so cute and evil. And then you have your 2 Vanilla. So, yep. Next up we have our 1 White Stone of the Ancients and 1 White Stone of Legend. Most people like preferring running 2 White Stone of Legends. I have not seen, now granted the card is fairly new and there's not a lot of Exodia decks out there because people feel the deck's dead with Upstart Goblin at 1 and chicken games and all that stuff. But I haven't seen anybody play this. Is 1 White Stone of the Ancients. I am not joking, this card's amazing in the deck. I like the 1 White Stone of Legend, don't get me wrong. You definitely run 1 because you can search it out, you can help get a Blue Eyes to hand, do combo plays, things of that nature. However, White Stone of the Ancients as a 1-of, instead of running 2 of these, I run just these 2. Just one and one, because this card's amazing. Number 1, it does something that most people don't see coming, is you can, if you have a Blue Eyes in deck and you know, say you want to play around with your opponent. Maybe they have a Vanity's Emptiness out in the field, okay, or I don't know, not Vanity's Emptiness necessarily, because this is not a special summon deck, but they have something that's causing you problems. Maybe it's a card that's not letting you draw, maybe it's something of that nature, whatever. They have a monster like a Thunder King. Say they have a Thunder King out in the field. You can't draw. Oh, dang it. Well, what am I going to do now? Well, what you can do with the Thunder King, because Thunder King's back up 2 and people are running it, you can go, oh, okay, activate Effect Engrave, I'll special summon a Blue Eyes to the field in phase, and they're going to be looking at you saying, you just special summoned a Blue Eyes and freaking an Exodia, and they're not going to see it coming. I can't tell you how many people are like, I wasn't prepared, and then you run over the Thunder King and whatnot. I mean, there's different ways you can do it. You don't really do it often. You're never rarely going to do it. The main effect you're going to use off of it is to banish it from the graveyard, to add a Blue Eyes from your graveyard back to your hand to reactivate another trade-in. So I've had hands where you have this and maybe some other, you know, multiple trade-ins and whatnot, but only one Blue Eyes White Dragon and this. I send this to the graveyard, do my shenanigans. La-di-da-di-da. Next. Your last monster I run is 1 Battle Fader. Now people may say, well, shouldn't you run Swift Scarecrow? Isn't that a better card? There's a reason I chose the 1 Battle Fader, but we also run 1 Day of Peace as well. The reason we run 1 Day of Peace and 1 Battle Fader is these are the cards, you're going to, like I said earlier, you're going to have 3 turns usually to get to Exodia. Your first turn, which usually you're not going to get attacked your first turn, you know, like even if you go in second, which optimally with this deck you do want to go second always. If you have the opportunity to go second, you go second. You need that extra card. However, saying that, your 2 extra turns come from these 2 cards right here. 1 Day of Peace, if that card goes back to more than 1, you run as many as you can. But because you mean you're not going to take damage, you're not going to take inflict and battle damage. I mean, you're going to be safe. You're not going to get OTK'd or whatever. Battle Fader stops the battle phase, ends it. You're not going to get damage. You have another turn to survive. But the reason I chose Battle Fader over Swift Scarecrow and things of that nature was the fact of the matter was Battle Fader stayed on the field. Now, usually that's a downside. But with the bamboos, the bamboo engine, which I'll talk about a little bit later, believe me, it does come in play, as well as the white stones, because you sometimes normal summon them just to get extra draw power. It happens, I know, it's bad management, but it does happen, and you still do win sometimes. So, saying that, yes, it is important to run 1 Day of Peace and 1 Battle Fader, because you're not going to get to Exodia your first turn. It's very, very hard. Out of playing about 50 duels, that only happened to me about 5 times, and I played this deck thoroughly online, and people hated me for it. But literally, it's very hard to do that now because of the limitations of a lot of draw cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! However, so you need to have a little bit of a stall engine to bide you some time. That card being 1 Day of Peace, which is a spell card, which makes it better and more versatile with Magical Library, and Battle Fader, which I'll talk about in a second. Then we run our Toon Table of Contents engine. The reason we run 3 Toon Table of Contents is this is instantly, if you draw 1 and you open your hand, you have Magical Library, that's an instant draw +1. The fact of the matter is you can use Toon Table of Contents along with Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, because you can go Toon Table of Contents, which searches Toon Table of Contents, which can search another Toon Table of Contents, which searches a Blue Eyes White Dragon, Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. Add that to your hand. Oh, I have Trade-In. Oh, okay, activate Trade-In, draw 2 more cards. It's amazing. However, you will get hands like this. Sometimes. Or hands just like this. Not good. Very rare, but usually sometimes I've seen hands like that or hands like this, and you're like, oh my gosh. Usually if you have hands like this, you're dead, you're gone, you're not going to win. But if you get hands like this and you open your hand sometimes you can use Magical Mallet and recycle them if you get that in your opening hand. Usually what you do sometimes is either I send this back to the deck, or it's not optimal because you already have your search target, and that's why some people like running 2 of these, but it's just inconsistencies. You already have enough level 8s you can run and recur from the graveyard for trade-in. So what you do sometimes is you just pitch it with a Dark World Dealings or something like that just to draw extra card, and then use this for trade-in fodder. So that's usually what you do, but you run your Toon Table of Contents engine, which is the Blue Eyes Toon Dragon like I showed you earlier, and your 3 Toon Table of Contents. Next we run 3 trade-in. We have 3 targets, but technically we do have 4 targets, because once you get the White Stone of the Ancients to the graveyard, you technically have a 4th target right there, because you can banish this, add a Blue Eyes to your hand, activate trade-in again. So technically you have 4 targets for your 3 trade-ins. In a nutshell, you really do. So Great card. 3 trade-ins. Next we run your Bamboo Engine, which we'll talk about briefly here for a bit. Your 3 Cursed Bamboo Sword. Your 3 Golden Bamboo Sword. And we'll put them over here. Your 2 Broken Bamboo Sword. So I know that's kind of hard to probably see here. I got them laying like this and I got 2 here. So let's talk about this little engine for about 2 minutes. Okay, this is literally a Pot of Greed engine. Okay, so Bamboo Swords has pretty much been staple for a long time in Exodia. You have Cursed Bamboo Sword that just came out recently, a couple of sets ago. Pretty much when it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a bamboo card from your deck. So anywhere it's sent to the graveyard, either you attach it to a monster, the monster gets destroyed, it hits the graveyard, or you use it in combination with Dark World Dealings, which we'll talk about in a second here. Either way, you get a search off. Now, the 2 best cards in the bamboo deck really are your Broken Bamboo Sword and your 3 Golden Bamboo Sword. This is a little bit better. Golden Bamboo Sword states when you have another bamboo on the field, you activate Golden Bamboo, you get to draw 2 cards. Great, you're plussing. Also, these engines work very, 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 very well with Royal Magical Library because you can literally get a draw engine going here so fast. With Royal Magical Library, you already have, okay, I get a target. Sometimes I even attach, even though maybe I've activated all my Golden Bamboo Swords, I just activate these with Royal Magical Library just to get extra counters to draw cards. So saying that, sometimes you find yourself, because technically if you did not run with Royal Magical Library, you only have 3 nominal summon monsters to activate the Bamboo Engine. 3 cards to rely on this engine, which is very important in the deck. That's not good. So we run our other things that we run, like your stones, which sometimes you will use your stones, attach a Broken Bamboo Sword or a Cursed Bamboo Sword, whatever you got, and just start going off with Golden Bamboo Sword like a crazy man on crack cocaine, drawing cards. Also, it's really nice because with Battle Fader, it serves a dual purpose, which is why I like running the 1 Battle Fader like instead of Swift Scarecrow, because literally what you can do is, say I have the Bamboo Engine but I have no normal summon monsters in my hand, you know, I don't have Royal Magical Libraries, oh my gosh, it's just a bad hand. Okay, what you can do is you can go, okay, special summon, stop the battle phase, attach whatever bamboo you want, you know, Broken or Cursed Bamboo, and then activate your Golden Bamboo, draw 2 more cards, get out of a clunky hand, and then maybe get your engine going and revving. So the fact of the matter is, it's another monster that's on the field that you can attach your Bamboo Swords to, which is amazing, and you think, well, that's not really good, you know, using that, but believe me, when it gets in dire straits situations, it's really good. So Broken Bamboo Swords, some people like running 3, some people like running 2 of Cursed, 3 of Broken, definitely always run 3 of Gold. However, me testing it out is, it works, Cursed Bamboo Sword is literally a searcher for the deck and also thins out the deck, in coordination with Dark World Dealings, which I'll talk about in a second here, as I move Golden Bamboo, because we already talked about that. But that's the ratio I like of running of the Bamboo Swords. But the Cursed Bamboo Sword interaction with Dark World Dealings here is you can activate Dark World Dealings, send this to the graveyard, and then you can search out a Broken or a Golden Bamboo Sword. The fact that you can pitch it, so it's good fodder for Dark World Dealings, which you definitely want to run 2 in the deck. Some people may say run 3 of it. 2 was all I ever wanted. I tried 3. You were discarding cards you didn't want to optimally discard, so I prefer just the 2 Dark World Dealings in the deck. Then I run 2 Pod Duality. The reason you don't run more Pod Duality in the deck is the fact of the matter is you only can activate 1 Pod Duality once per turn. It's a great card because the fact of the matter is like I said, you have literally usually 3 turns to search for your Exodia, so you can activate 1 on 1 turn, activate 1 on the other. You never want to draw 2 in your opening hand usually, but if that happens, it happens. You just got to play your cards right. But it's really good because you can thin your deck out. I tried 3, it got cloggy. Yeah, me saying Pod Duality is a bad card because it was at 3. But no, 2 was all I ever wanted to run, because it gets cloggy at 3 because you only can activate 1 per turn. 2 Magical Mallet. People may say, why the heck are you running Magical Mallet? First off, it's a spell card that adds counters to your Royal Magical Library. Also, the fact of the matter is, I don't like Exodia pieces in my opening hands. You may say, what the heck are you talking about? You do not want the Exodia pieces in your opening hands. If you get hands that you have 3 Exodia pieces, most people will say, oh yeah, awesome, I just need 2 more and I win. Problem is, you gotta go through a 45 card deck in your opening hand, or a 44 card opening, deck in your, 44 cards or 45, depending upon if you're going first or second nowadays. to find just 2 more cards. The ratios are not with you. Plus, you may not even have a good draw engine if you got 3 dead cards that are just going to sit in your hand for 3 turns, or 2 turns. Not good. So, what you do sometimes is if you got dead cards in your hand, or you got dead targets in your hand, you activate the magical mallet, and you send your Exodia pieces back to the deck for the time being. You really do not want to draw in Exodia pieces until you usually have to have between 17 and 9 cards. So between 9 and 17 cards, you do not want to be drawing Exodia pieces. Even when I've been down to 9 cards and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to have enough time to draw into my Exodia, I still, send back 4 cards. And you may say, well, that's bad. You just need 1 more card. Hey, if it means I just get more to my draw engine and can draw the card instead of having it right now, that's great. That's fine. So the fact of the matter is, this helps you get out of clunky hands. You don't want Exodia in your opening hand. I know people might say that's not, that's bad logic. Play the deck and tell me when you open Exodia in your opening hand, you only have 3 pieces or 4 pieces, and you have to search the deck for the rest. It's usually not good. Believe me. Believe me. Oh, and by the way, when I was playing online, I did one time open with Exodia in my opening hand. 1 out of 100. About 110. I duel a lot with this deck. 1 Upstart Goblin and 1 Cards of Coincidence. You have 2 targets for this. It's great. Sometimes it's a dead card if you always sent your stones to the graveyard, but it's still good. And Upstart Goblin, you run as many as you can in the deck. Next, I run a little tech card, which I've never seen an Exodia deck run. 3 Reckless Greed. Cool story here. In this deck, you can not only special summon a Blue Eyes from your deck, you can also use Exodia and get and win on your opponent's turn. You're not always going to win on your turn. You can win on your opponent's turn, guys, with this deck, with Exodia. Believe me. So what I'm saying is sometimes you draw into Reckless Greed, and I've got like these clunky hands, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not going to work out too well. I don't have, enough cards to draw. I mean, my opponent's not going to kill me this turn, but even if I draw 1 more card, if it's not going to set my engine off, it's not going to work for me. And you need a little bit more draw power in this deck. So what you do is you just set your 1 Reckless Greed, or you set your 2 Reckless Greed. Or even in the case you set your 3 Reckless Greed, you wait for your opponent to go off. If they Twin Twister you, you just chain them right away, or MST you, whatever the case is, you chain it. You don't want to lose that advantage. Also, if you have the chance, don't Reckless Greed unless you really have to. If your opponent's going to chain an MST or effect, something to stop, get rid of these or pop the cards on the field after you set it, activate it right away if you're able to. Or just wait till your turn, get the extra draw, and then go off with Reckless Greed. That's the optimal scenario you want with Reckless Greed. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes you can activate Reckless Greed on your opponent's turn. So I've had my opponents thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to win. I'm going to beat Exodia, yes! And then I'm like, chain Reckless Greed, chain Reckless Greed, chain Reckless Greed. Oh, look, I drew into the last piece of Exodia I needed. I win on your turn. Yes. Degenerate, yes, but fun. Reckless Greed is awesome in this deck. My gosh, I haven't had fun with that much fun with Reckless Greed since Dark Worlds back in the day. So guys, that is my Exodia deck. It is fun. Try it out. Have some fun. It's going to take some time. It's not, I know people are going to say, well, it's a helmet type of deck, and I'll agree with you to a point. It's very solitary. However, the thought process that I went into that same mindset saying Exodia is not skillful. I came out saying it took some thought to make this deck run properly, and it took some thought playing this deck properly, because sometimes you have to take gambles with Magical Mallet. Sometimes you have to take a little bit of some gambles to win. So believe me, it takes some luck, some skill, a little bit, not a lot. Not going to give it too much credit, but it does take some skill, guys, believe me. Don't disregard that. Try it out. But have some fun with this deck, guys. It is so fun to play, and I've built this deck pretty solid. So, till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and Exodia, obliterate! No, my blue eyes, my dragons!